if you've ever gone to the bathroom, felt relieved, walked back to what you were doing, and then within minutes felt that pressure again, that nagging, almost desperate urge that doesn't make sense. I need you to stop what you're doing right now and watch this entire video. Because what I'm about to share with you is something that most doctors never explain. Something that affects millions of women over 40 and is almost never talked about. And if you've been dismissing this symptom as just part of getting older, I need you to know that is exactly what I believed too for years. Until the research changed everything I thought I knew. My name is Dr. Eleanor Whitaker. I've spent over 2 decades working with women navigating perimenopause and menopause, the fatigue, the weight gain, the mood shifts, the sleepless nights. But the symptom that women feel the most shame about, the one they whisper about or never even mention at appointments, is this one, the constant, unpredictable urge to go. And here is the part that changes everything. This has nothing to do with your bladder. I know that sounds impossible. You're thinking, Eleanor, if I feel it in my bladder, how is it not about my bladder? Bear with me, because what I'm about to explain is one of the most overlooked, misunderstood connections in women's health. And once you see it, you will never look at this symptom the same way again. Let me take you back to something that happened inside your body, quietly without announcement, somewhere around your late 30s or early 40s. Your hormones began to shift, not suddenly, not dramatically at first, just a slow, gradual decline in 2 of the most powerful chemical messengers your body has ever known, estrogen and progesterone. These aren't just reproductive hormones. Most people think that. And that misunderstanding is at the heart of why so many women suffer unnecessarily. Estrogen alone influences over 400 functions in the female body. 400. Your skin, your sleep, your mood, your memory, your metabolism, and yes, the structural integrity of something you've probably never thought much about until recently, your pelvic floor. Here is what the research shows, and what most OB/GYNs don't have time to explain in a 15-minute appointment. Estrogen is one of the primary hormones responsible for maintaining the strength, elasticity, and thickness of the pelvic floor muscles and the connective tissue that surrounds and supports your bladder. When estrogen levels drop, which begins years before your last period, these tissues begin to change. They become thinner, less elastic, less responsive. And here is the part that nobody talks about. This isn't a bladder problem. This is a hormonal support problem. Think of the pelvic floor like a hammock, a strong, healthy hammock made of tightly woven, supple material, holds everything in place effortlessly. Your bladder rests in that hammock. It communicates clearly with your nervous system. It fills, it signals appropriately, it releases when you choose. That's a hormonally supported system working the way it was designed. Now, imagine that hammock begins to lose its tension. The fibers become thinner. The weave loosens. The support structure weakens. Suddenly, your bladder is no longer sitting in position the way it should. The signals it sends to your brain become confused. You feel urgency that doesn't reflect how full you actually are. You go to the bathroom, release a small amount, and within minutes your brain is receiving another signal, go again. It's not because your bladder is broken. It's because the support system around it has been quietly weakening for years. And here is what makes this even more important for you to understand right now. This process doesn't stop on its own. In fact, without hormonal support, it tends to progress. Women who are in perimenopause, which can begin as early as your mid-30s, are already in this process. And if you're experiencing even mild symptoms right now, your body is sending you a signal, not a whisper, a signal. I want you to think about the last few months, not just the urgency. Think about whether you've also noticed changes in your sleep, waking at 2 or 3 in the morning for no reason you can identify. Think about whether your energy has changed, not just tiredness, but a kind of heaviness that used to lift and now just stays. Think about whether your weight has shifted, particularly around your abdomen, even though your habits haven't dramatically changed. Think about whether your mood has felt less stable, more reactive, more anxious, or just less like yourself. These are not separate problems. They are connected. They are all branches of the same root, and that root is hormonal imbalance. I need to say something here that I've said to hundreds of women sitting across from me in my practice, and I'll say it to you now. This is not normal aging. This is a signal, and there is a difference. Normal aging is gradual and manageable. What many women in their 40s are experiencing is an accelerated hormonal disruption made worse by chronic stress, poor sleep, processed food, environmental toxins, and a medical system that was not designed to take these subtle, layered symptoms seriously. When a woman comes in and says she's exhausted, gaining weight, can't sleep, and keeps running to the bathroom, too often she's told, "You're just getting older." This is normal. It is not normal, and it is not inevitable. This might be happening inside your body right now. And the fact that you're here watching this tells me that some part of you already knows something is off. That something has shifted, that the woman you were 3 or 4 years ago, her energy, her sleep, her body felt different. And you want to understand why. I want to tell you about something I've seen help women begin to change this pattern naturally without synthetic hormones, without invasive procedures, and without being told to just accept it. There is a growing body of research and clinical observation around specific natural compounds that support the body's hormonal environment, not by replacing hormones artificially, but by supporting the pathways your body already has, by giving your endocrine system the raw materials it needs to do its job more effectively, by supporting the tissue health of the pelvic floor at a cellular level, by reducing the inflammatory signals that, when hormones decline, begin to interfere with normal bladder communication. The women I've seen respond to this kind of support describe it in similar ways. Less urgency, better sleep, more stable energy, a feeling of returning, not to who they were at 25, but to a version of themselves that feels functional, clear, and in control. If you want to learn more about this natural approach, the one that's already been helping thousands of women in the same situation you're in right now, the link is in the description below and in the first comment of this video. I encourage you to go there. Read through it carefully. What you find might be the piece of information you've been missing. Now let me go deeper, because I want you to truly understand what is happening and why acting sooner matters more than most women realize. When estrogen begins to decline, the pelvic floor tissues don't just weaken. They change structurally. The collagen fibers that give those muscles and connective tissues their strength begin to break down faster than the body can rebuild them. This is called collagen degradation, and it's one of the primary reasons why symptoms like urgency, frequency, and what doctors call overactive bladder become more common after 40. But here's what's almost never mentioned in the standard medical conversation. Collagen degradation is not irreversible in the early stages. The window to support tissue health, to give the body the nutrients and hormonal environment it needs to slow that breakdown and encourage repair, exists. But it is not unlimited. This is why I said earlier that this is a signal, because signals, when ignored, become louder. What starts as mild urgency can progress to frequency, needing to go 8, 10, 12 times a day. What starts as mild frequency can eventually affect sleep every single night. What starts as occasional urgency can become leakage, the symptom that women find the most distressing and the most isolating, and all of it at its root connected to a hormonal environment that has been calling for support. I also want to address something that I know many of you are thinking. You might be thinking, I've already mentioned this to my doctor, and they told me it was normal, or they offered me a medication, or they suggested pelvic floor physical therapy. And I want to be clear, pelvic floor physical therapy is valuable. Certain medications do provide symptom relief. But here is what both of those approaches have in common. They address the symptom. They do not address the hormonal environment that is generating the symptom. And when the hormonal environment continues to decline without support, symptoms tend to return or worsen, regardless of what's treating them at the surface. The question your body is really asking isn't, how do I manage this urgency? The question is, why is this urgency happening? And what does my body need to change the internal conditions that are causing it? That is a completely different question, and it leads to completely different solutions. I also want to talk about something that doesn't get enough attention in these conversations: the relationship between stress hormones and estrogen when the body is under chronic stress. And most women over 40 are navigating levels of stress that their bodies were never designed to sustain long term. The adrenal glands begin to prioritize cortisol production. Cortisol is essential for survival, but when it is chronically elevated, it actively competes with sex hormone production. The body essentially makes a triage decision: manage the immediate threat first. Reproductive and structural hormones can wait. The problem is that the threat in modern life never goes away. Work, family, finances, health worries, sleep deprivation. These are not predators your body can outrun. They are chronic, low-grade stressors that keep your cortisol elevated and your estrogen suppressed day after day. And every day that this continues, the pelvic floor receives less of the hormonal signal it needs to maintain itself. This is why two women can be the same age, with similar health histories, and have completely different experiences of perimenopause. It is not random. It is not just genetics. It is the cumulative hormonal environment they have been living in, and whether their body has had the support it needs to maintain balance. Your symptoms are data. They are your body's best attempt to get your attention. And the women who respond to that data, who take action while their body still has the capacity to respond, are the ones who come back and tell me, I feel like myself again. I sleep again. I'm not planning my day around bathroom proximity. I feel like I got my life back. I've seen this pattern enough times to know it is not a coincidence. And I've also seen what happens when women wait. Not because they don't care, but because they're busy, because they've been told it's normal, because they hope it will resolve on its own. Sometimes it does stabilize, but more often, in the absence of hormonal support, the trajectory continues downward. The urgency becomes frequency. The frequency becomes disrupted sleep every single night. The disrupted sleep compounds the fatigue. The fatigue compounds the mood changes. The mood changes strain relationships, work, self-perception. What began as a bladder symptom quietly becomes a quality of life issue that touches every part of daily existence. You are watching this video for a reason. And if you've stayed this long, something in what I've said has resonated with something you've been feeling, maybe for months, maybe for years. Your body is not failing you. It is communicating with you. The question is whether you're going to answer. There are women who are watching this same video right now, who will click the link below, who will read what's there, and who, 6 weeks from now, will be sleeping through the night, will feel that familiar sense of energy returning, will stop mentally mapping every building they enter by where the bathroom is, will feel, for the first time in a long time, that their body is working with them again. And there are women who will close this video, tell themselves they'll look into it later, and find themselves in exactly the same place, or further along the same trajectory, months from now. The difference between those two women is not health. It is not luck. It is one decision. The natural method I've been referring to throughout this video, the one that supports hormonal balance at the root level, that addresses the tissue environment of the pelvic floor, that works with your body's own systems rather than overriding them. That information is waiting for you right now, in the link in the description below, and in the first comment of this video. Don't wait until the symptoms get louder. Don't wait until sleep becomes impossible. Don't wait until this symptom is the one defining your days. Your body is still responding. This is your window, and the link is right below. Go there now. Read what's there. Give your body what it's been asking for. I'm Dr. Eleanor Whitaker, and I made this video because I believe every woman deserves to understand what's actually happening inside her body, and to know that there are real, natural options available to her. You don't have to accept this as your new normal. You just have to take the first step. The link is below. I'll see you on the other side.